Okay, well, we got a little bit of a late start today for who knows what reasons, but we're on lesson 66 of a workbook of A Course in Miracles, and my function and my happiness are one. There's a line in this lesson that brought me directly back to my experiences with the 12-step program. My happiness and my function are one. Here's the line. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Today we will try to go past the holy meaningless battle, which we'll get back to in a minute, and arrive at the truth about your function. We will not engage in ceaseless arguments about what it is. We will not become hopelessly involved in defining happiness and determining the means for achieving it. We will not indulge the ego by listening to its attacks on truth. We are merely glad that we could find out what truth is. Second step, in a 12-step program, the fundamental mission, we came to believe, we were powerless over our addiction. Not powerless, and completely not powerless as we're not power. We don't have any power. We're powerless over our addiction, and our life had become unmanageable. And there's a difference between being powerless over something and powerless in general. So we became, the first step is we powerless over our addiction, and life had become unmanageable. Second step is we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Now, one of the problems that I saw in 12-step programs were the people who were just trying to stop using the substances, and that's what they thought was going to allow them to be happy, rather than understanding that when you stop using the substances, it's when you discover what the real problem is, and the real problem is always within ourselves. There's no other place could the problem be, and that's the whole message and tenor of A Course in Miracles. So what in asking and working with the 12 steps in the second step, what I saw is when I realized that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity, I understood that the limitation on the use of that power was only always going to be limited by the definitions that I allowed that power to restore me to. So therefore, if I defined sanity, if I gave sanity a definition, and therefore, by definition, let's call it an image of what that definition would look like, then that's the most I could be restored to. But if I let the power greater than myself restore me to sanity as a constant renewal of what sanity was without defining it, there were no limits to the utilization of that step, and there would be no limits to what could be achieved in regard to being sane. And this is saying much the same thing. We haven't known either what our function is, nor have we known what truly makes us happy. And those are some baseline admissions that are needed when you approach Workbook of A Course in Miracles. And believe me, when people think they know what makes them happy and they know what their function is, there's no reason for them to pick up this book. It's not that they're right. It's that they're well adjusted and they just haven't suffered enough from a pain that's not extinguishable by anything in this world. So my happiness and my function are one. You have surely noticed an emphasis throughout our recent lessons on the connection between fulfilling your function and achieving happiness. And one of the reasons that's so is because all joy and only joy that we can experience is in learning to do God's will. And the way we learn to do God's will is by learning how to align and converge with that will, and then using everything that's given us as a way to stay on course with that will as that will. In that sense, I was talking to a friend the other day, and it's almost as if the universe becomes the way in which it's like tacking when you're sailing. Like you utilize the universe as the way in which you learn to tack and sail along with the will of God in being happy. So you no longer look at what's going on in your life as limitations. You just sort of learn to utilize the reflection that you're getting from the world and the universe around you as a way to stay on track based on the path that's laid before you and gets lit up as you step forward. Miracles light your way. So I was shown in the sense that we all have a path, and this is one of the things that happens in vision when you begin to open your mind, and vision does come to you. I saw quite clearly that the path was laid out before me, and it was well lit, but the lights were not lit until I stepped forward on the path, and then the lighting of the path kept pace with my following it. And that's sort of what I'm talking about, by not limiting what's possible to occur and not limiting what's possible to be achieved based on defining and giving an image or a face or a goal, a worldly goal, to my function and my happiness and how I can be restored to it. And I noticed along the path, every time I took a step, the lights were already waiting to be lit, and they did light up, and they lit up enough of the path so I can continue. And the joy and the surprise is in the ability to step forward fearlessly through the darkness and have the previous way that it was dark, the dark way, be lit up before you through the miracles that occur when you do follow the path, as you do fulfill your function. Because each and every one of us, in our desire to be special, the Holy Spirit takes that desire to be special and the specialness and utilizes it in a way in which we don't suffer from it, but we experience the joy of the purpose that we're given in an unlimited fashion, in an unlimited way, because there is no limit to God's joy and to the love that is what our creation is for and the way in which we can experience it. God is not limited in his expression of love, nor are we. The only thing that we're limited to is being able to be happy, joyous, and free as that expression of love. And the reason why we experience limitation in this world of space and time is because we are attempting to create unlike our Father created us to create. So therefore, when we are not doing that, we have placed a limit on the availability of that joy, of the abundance of joy, of the infinite eternal love that reality is, and that we're designed to express. It's like a diamond. It's like diamond clear vision. That's what was given to me. You know, we're all facets on the same diamond. We're not the same facet, but we're all facets given the ability to shine forth the love of the light that is the diamond in itself. And in that sense, the flaw in the diamond makes us all unique expressions. You know, every diamond, there are no two flaws that are the same in diamonds. Perfect diamonds are all the same. But it's the flaw in the diamond that establishes that unique and allows it to utilize the light of the diamond itself to express itself uniquely. And in that way, our uniqueness is no longer a hindrance. Our uniqueness and our desire to be special allows us to be useful within the world of space and time. so that we could shine on our brothers in ways that are recognizable to them, that may not be recognizable to, say, another brother, that another facet or flaw in a diamond would be able to express to them. So you've surely noticed an emphasis throughout our recent lessons on the connection between fulfilling your function and achieving happiness. This is because you don't really see the connection. Yet there is more than just a connection between them. They are the same. Their forms are different, but their content are completely one. The reason that we don't see the connection is because we exist, as Karl Marx talked about, in a state of alienation where we pursue something other than happiness, thinking that it could buy us happiness. So we pursue money as our function, thinking that the money eventually is going to buy us what we need to be happy. And that's the exact opposite of what this course is teaching, yet it is the way that we've been operating in space and time. And that's why Marx talks about as alienation. Of course, talks about it as separation. We're cut off from our means of support. We're cut off from our means of supply, and we're pursuing something that we could think buy us back into the means of supply. And there's nothing that can buy us back because we've never left. We've never left the source, yet we've had a break in communication wherein which we sought something non-communicative, thinking that it was going to give us what it cannot give us. It cannot give us more than the definition that it exists in, and within definition, everything exists in limitation by definition. That's what it's called, defining. You carve it out of something out of the whole in order to make it appear different and special. And yet the form may appear different when they seem to be broken apart, but in a sense it's all the same meaningless substance of nothingness that the dream is made of. The ego does constant battle with the Holy Spirit on the fundamental question of what your function is. So the ego is in constant battle. It's in constantly against. It's in constantly resistance. It is resistance to finding out the truth of your function, because without the ego, without you empowering the ego has no function. It's an effect. It is not cause, and it needs your power to persist in its ability to deny you happiness. So when you concentrate and focus on the egoic offerings that exist in the world of space and time, you are distracted from the truth of what your happiness is, and you never turn around and ask the fundamental question, is this true? Do I really have to do this? Am I really here to get old, to get sick and die, and exist in a condition of sacrifice, where upon getting the things that I love, they're already in decay, and with the certainty that I'm going to lose them, because everything is lost in space and time. We lose ourselves in space and time to death. There's no really lasting anything. That's the nature of space and time, beginning and endings. And we think we can establish paradigms that will go live longer than we are, which is ridiculous. How would we even know? And how could we get the benefit of it? So we have progeny that we, in a sense, condemn to having to live lives similar to what we've lived in order to make our paradigms true, and perhaps they don't want to do that. So the ego does constant battle with the Holy Spirit on the fundamental question of what your function is. So does it do constant battle with the Holy Spirit about what your happiness is. That's what I was talking about before. So we do a job, we take a job in order to get money, and we use the money to think that we can buy happiness. We don't see that there's a connection. If there's anything I would tell the youth of today, who, whether you're in doesn't matter what type of school you're in, and this was Joseph Campbell. Maybe it was misunderstood at the time as pursuing something outside of yourself, when I know that's not exactly what it was meaning. What he was saying is follow your bliss. As you follow your bliss, the following of the bliss will allow it to be made manifest the way in which you can stay blissful. And that's what this is talking about. Find out what you love. Find something you love to do. Find a lifestyle that you like to live. No matter what it is, maybe you prefer the country over the city or the seashore over the mountains. Find a place that makes your heart sing and things that allow you to express your song. And then what will come forth is a manner by which you can continue to do that. Don't think that if you get a job, you're going to be able to buy the lifestyle, because the getting of the job and the pursuing the money will become in a sense the pursuit that denies you the ability to live the dream that you want, that you are saving the money for. Then you're old and your dreams change and your life is gone. Find a lifestyle. Find the way you like to live. Discover for yourself what makes your heart sing. And then do things that allows that song to come forth. And the means to continue to support yourself in the singing of that song will be made available to you. Don't sell out. You don't have to sell out to the old ways. You don't have to listen. You don't have to listen to people who have pursued the ways of the world and failed miserably at fulfilling their function and being happy. You need to discover within you what makes your heart sing. And when you know what makes your heart sing, you will find a way to allow that song to be expressed. And the making allowance for the singing of that song will provide the way, the place, and how that song can be sung, and how the song will be supported in the continuation of its singing by the universe itself. So, does it do constant battle with the Holy Spirit about your happiness? It's not a two-way battle. The ego attacks the Holy Spirit. The ego attacks and the Holy Spirit does not respond. He knows what your function is and he knows what your happiness is. And finally, when you get tired of doing that battle within yourself and experience the turmoil, the upset, and the sickness that comes along with it, the depletion of the life force within you, the loss of the spirit, the loss of the love for life that you entered into here with as a child, and the loss of that causes the depletion, and you don't have to do that anymore. Nobody has to do that anymore, and don't let anybody tell you that you do. This is a simple way to open up, to begin to experience the constant flow and sustenance that comes from the infinite source, the abundant source, the infinitely abundant source of life itself. And you could live and be supported by that substance if you allow yourself to go back to where you broke the communication with your perfection and allow the perfection and the flow, the communication with the source of that perfection to be made one again in you, and so that you are one again with it. And in that, your happiness and your function will be given to you as one, and you'll be experiencing the joining of those two together in the action of forgiving yourself from your trespasses in the way in which our Father created us to be. We've trespassed. We've gone into territory that we should not have wandered into. We've wandered into temptation rather than staying the path that allows us to fulfill our function and experiencing the joy that comes along with the fulfillment of that function.